running, it's rotational. The same thing if a marathon runner came into your gym. The value proposition is not nutrition, not range of motion. That's not going to get them to sign up. They just want to get faster. So how are you going to make them faster? You have to assume they've optimized their legs like a surfer has optimized their shoulders. Where's the opportunity? Well, in a marathon runner, what about the chest, the shoulders, and the back? Can we improve their ability to clear lactate that is developed from their running? When it hits the bloodstream and it hits those larger muscle groups, what if they could clear it faster in their arm swing? Their legs can then do more work. We need to be looking at the structure and where's that opportunity exist, just like we were talking about weightlifters, and are they overloading their slow twitch fibers when they're supporting their structure?
Louis Simmons had Butch Reynolds, who was a Olympic athlete, runner. He had him doing timed dumbbell presses. So he would do like either lying or even overhead, and you would just select a weight and you would do it for like a minute straight. And just like you said, I mean, when someone's running, I mean, they're also, they have to maintain their posture throughout the entire race. And if the upper back is weak or if the chest is weak, I'm sure you're going to get in compromised positions that don't look good, right?
I love that you brought that up. We mentioned Froning, he has no cartilage in one knee. I do believe that it's because of the strength and stability that he's created around the knee. So like when I was watching your brother move and his right leg flares, I mean, I bet if you went up to it, you could shake it. Rich, there is none of that. It's so stable. And how? But I also believe that it has to do with his core. His core and energy transfer from upper body and developing, when people say, go to the arms when you're running. Well, if you don't have an ability to transfer that power to the legs, meaning your core is weak, then all of that power output just dissipates. But if you have a strong, stable core, then the legs are strong and stable too. And I really think that is why Rich doesn't experience pain, because he's got an incredible level of stability between the upper body and the lower body, and they work as one. That's why his core is so strong. And the problem with runners is, they don't have strong cores. They don't. And that's an opportunity. Like, you need to realize that core strength has a transference. I mean, the reason why, when I look at you run, the first thing I look at is upper body. I look at your upper body because it tells me what the lower body is doing. If your arms, like we were saying, Kalipa, they cross midline, then I know that the legs are going to go wide. I even talked to you about vertical oscillation. How much oscillation do you do? Part where we're looking at is the upper body, because the upper body is helping the lower body be balanced. So if this left arm shoots forward like this, then my right leg is going to shoot forward. Rich Froning rolls his shoulder here. What do you think this right leg is going to do to balance out the timing of this rolling shoulder? It's going to overstride. So what we know is that we can look at the upper body, and if we have instabilities here, they transfer. And most runners do not have enough core strength to maintain that stability for a long amount of time. And that's where we see breakdown. Yeah, I find that very interesting, like looking at these CrossFitters and like, how are they doing it? And one of the things that CrossFitters have is incredible core strength. And it's not like you see that in other sports.
Para Project family, how's it going? You guys know who Stan the Rhino Efforting is. We've had him on this podcast 3, 4, 5 different times. Well, we've partnered with Stan and Vertical Meals. It's going to be awesome because now you guys can have Stan Efforting's cooking and his nutrition sent right to you, right to your door. Andrew, can you tell the people how to get it and save?
Absolutely. You guys got to head over to verticaldiet.com. At checkout, enter promo code Power Project for free shipping. And if you order 16 meals or more, you're going to get 2 additional ones. Again, that's at verticaldiet.com, promo code Power Project. Links to them down in the description, as well as your podcast show notes. Let's get back to this podcast.
Yeah. So I mean, I know there's a lot of movements that CrossFitters do, but what would you say would be some of the easiest movements that individuals could add in that you think would be beneficial for their running as far as the weight training room is concerned?
So I think that we need to be looking more at the obliques. I think that doing things such as Russian twists are important. We need to be looking at things that are more specific towards the sport. So swimming, this rotational, running, it's rotational. And we need to be building up the sides more. The problem is how are you going to be able to do that? And so one of the things that we could easily do is what we talked about earlier. What I want you to do is take a 25-pound plate. I want you to sit down on the ground, and you're going to bounce that plate from right side to left side with your feet off the ground and doing Russian twists as fast as you possibly can. I want you to maximize the fatigue for about 12 seconds, maybe, up to 15. Maximize it. Then what I want you to do is drop the plate and finish out the remainder of that minute by taking 10 fingers on the right side and moving them across and go to the left side. Nice and slow for the remainder of the minute, and do 5 rounds of that. What we're going to be doing is we're going to build your CNS side by working the high intensity. We're going to maximize fast twitch recruitment, high force, creation of lactic acid. And now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the recovery while building stamina and build it up the same way we talked about earlier. We need to be more creative in the way in which we're building this capacity, because the problem is people are always doing high intensity, but it's a short time domain. And then when they get fatigued, they sit around and do nothing. And the problem that I have is if we're sitting and doing nothing, then we're always going to be wanting to do nothing. Like wall balls. Wall balls is a challenge for everybody. What are you doing about it? What you're doing is you're going to do 15 and then you're going to rest, 15 and then rest. And you know what? 10 rounds later, you'll have your 150. How's that going to get you better? I had a guy once, he was doing handstand push-ups and he was doing 100 of them for time. He was always doing 3, coming down, resting 10 seconds, 3 and 10, 3 and 10. It was incredible pacing. Afterwards, he finishes and I said, hey, this is Spencer Hendel at Reebok at HQ, Boston. And Spencer's a multi-games athlete, dad, and stud family, everything. I asked him, well, how'd you come up with that? Incredible pacing. He says, I found out if I do more than 3, or I don't take a full 10 seconds of rest, my overall finishing time is worse. My question was, but if you're always doing 3 and 10, how's your body learn anything other than 3 and 10? That's the problem. If you're always sitting around and doing nothing in your rest, then you're always going to get good at doing nothing. Where are you going to get out of that? And what we need to do is go from nothing to a walk, to a jog, to a run. We've talked about Fraser Bunch, but he can do a 7:35 mile and recover. What's your recovery speed? What's your recovery speed in all these other movements? And so my point is that what we need to do is we need to take like the Spencer Hendel, and we need to show him a way to get out of that quagmire. How are we going to do it? You know what, Spencer, what I want you to do is do your 3 handstand push-ups, and instead of sitting around and doing nothing for 10 seconds, I want you to pick up a PVC pipe, and I want you to give me 10 seconds of very slow active recovery, strict shoulder presses, and then rest for your 10 seconds and kick back up again. We're going to challenge you in the next workout, not by making you do more or faster. I'm going to make that next workout more difficult by not letting you sit and do nothing in recovery. I'm going to make you move. And that's what we need to do. We need to show people a different option. And the mistake is that the recovery never gets looked at. But that's where the limitation is. Most CrossFitters, their weakness is what's preventing them from doing more work is they're getting tired. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the stamina. So how are they going to do it? That's why when I tell people, it's like, what's your jog recovery speed? Like Froning's early on was a 10-minute mile. Did he know it was good? Well, when you find out 7:35 is good, yeah, you got some work to do.
Yeah.
And Rich is fast. Rich can run a lap around the track in 58.5. That's fast. So then what's the problem? His weakness was his inability to recover. So where do we focus our time? We focus on the weakness, not the strength. And you know what's interesting is that through repetition, working the weakness, meaning slower, more volume, we create better muscle memory. And as a byproduct, the speed goes up. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen that, right? You get better movement patterns, you right? Slow it down, lighten the load, and next thing you know.
Yeah, you become more efficient, just by going and seeing Kelly Starrett years ago. I was at a 943 squat, and he helped push me to a 1,080 squat. So I was already doing well, but just by him articulating, how the body works and stuff, it was really helpful to me. One of the things that was interesting was I was like pretty resistant, even though I got to know him and even though we became friends. I was like, this guy's not going to tell me how to squat. And then I heard one of the things he said in a seminar, and he said, I might not know everything there is to know, about your particular sport, but I do know a lot about the human body. And I was like, all right, I'm sold. I do need to pay more attention to what he's talking about. And just the adjustments, I already kind of had my feet pointed straight ahead, and I had a wide stance, and he was a huge proponent of that. He didn't say that for everybody, but for me in particular, he thought that was a good idea. But the main thing was just for me to keep my head down while I was squatting, kind of chin more tucked in than down. But what was interesting about that is that my whole career before that, I was always trying to keep my head up. I would try to keep my head up. I would look up at the ceiling or whatever I could. Every single time I would do a heavy squat, I'd end up looking at the ground and I'd end up rounded over. It was almost looked like I was throwing up, or something like that. My back would get rounded, and I would just be in this funky position. I had to good morning my way out of it, all the way to the point where to fix it, I was just like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to do good mornings. And I would do good mornings with like crazy amounts of weight. That did help a lot. But Kelly just saying, hey, you know what, don't even bother doing that with your head. He's like, I think you're kind of overextending, and you're just putting yourself in a position that you can't maintain. He's like, just keep your head more neutral, maybe pack your chin in a little bit and try that. And as soon as I tried that, I mean, it took weeks for me to reinforce it and stuff like that. But the weight started flying, and it just made a huge improvement.
That's awesome.
Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel, because we continue to bring you peak content on this channel. Obviously, you guys are here. You guys watched the whole video. So like, comment, subscribe. All right. See you later.